Hey everyone. So I'm guessing as soon as you saw the description, you're probably sitting up straighter just because it had the buzzword of posture in it. So I'm Dr. Kody and I'm from Baseline Health and Wellness. And so it's always a pleasure to come and chat with the TurnFit community as David has graciously invited me to be on this weekly. So today I think we're going to talk about posture, and because posture is such a big topic, just on a regular basis, let alone being while we're at home. So I think a couple things to talk about would be what is good posture, and then what are some common misconceptions of what good posture could be, and what postures could be doing to your body. So let's get started. If you have any questions, please um, post in the comments. I'll make sure to look at them at the end and try to answer them. And if you have any questions or any possible topics that you want me to go through in the coming weeks, just let me know. Thanks, Isabella, for watching. All right, so let's go through what good posture is. So posture, in terms of it, is how your body sits or stays in a position during during sitting or standing or anything like that. So in terms of it, oftentimes when we look at good posture, what we're looking at is how your body is aligned. So for example, is your head and ears stacked over your shoulders? Is it over your hips? Is it down through your legs and down through the heels of your feet? If it isn't, then they're saying that something is off and a little bit is creating some issues. So in terms of that, my suggestion is there's an ideal posture, but I don't think that most people will ever be that ideal because of the stuff that we do. We sit at our work, we we walk around, we do different sports, we do all these things, and they create muscular imbalances that create issues with our postures. So, in terms of it, let's talk about sitting first. So, oftentimes, maybe I'll post some pictures and stuff afterwards because I'm on a headset, so it's really hard for me to show it while sitting. But basically, when we're sitting, what we look for is neutral. Neutral, most people will hear that term when it comes to posture. Neutral, I'll give you a specific example. It's when your rib cage, the bottom of your rib cage, is stacked on top of your hips. That is what neutral is. So, in terms of it, that's where you want your low back to be to maintain and create less stress and less injuries that can occur. So, in terms of it, that's what we're looking for in terms of all postures because that's how we are naturally supposed to be. So, oftentimes, what people will do because it looks bad. So, if you're sitting there and say your posture is slouched forward, what we do is we're used to and programmed by our parents to say sit up straight. So, what do? So, we go from here and we sit up straight. What I did here is I used my low back to create that curve. The low back curve is actually bringing your rib cage up and your pelvis down. So what that creates is an arching of your low back. That is not good posture. So if we're standing and we are leaned back in that same posture. So for example, if let me see if I can even get this. So if I'm here and I'm slouched and then you say sit up straight and I'm like this, you wouldn't want me to stand in a standing position that's really extended because it's really poor on your back. However, what we want is actually for the upper back to lengthen out and straighten so that our shoulders coming back and so it's closer to in line with the ears. So oftentimes I find that people overcompensate for their sitting posture. So they try to sit up as straight as possible, but the straightness comes from the low back. The straightness should come from the upper back where the chest is and where it's elongated and your chin should retract back. There's a lot of exercise that you can do to create some of these better postures because you can work on that upper back flexibility as well as work on some of the chest that's really tight pulling you in. So we can work on some of those and retrain the pattern to get you to sit properly. So I think in terms of posture, the takeaways is don't use the cue sit up straight. Instead, make sure that the ribs are stacked over the hips so it's comfortable. So when you're sitting there, it doesn't feel like you're straining your low back to stay in that position. Sitting shouldn't be challenging. So in terms of it, you should just be holding those positions and it should feel good. Then when you look at yourself, you might be curled into a ball. That's when we need to start working on the upper back to maintain that. So those are the two big pieces from there. Okay, so that's some of the big pieces when it comes to posture. When you're standing, a couple of things that happens with standing postures is we tend to lean forward or backwards because our center of gravity is pushing weight on a different area. In terms of while we're standing, we should also be neutral. So we should feel it in that the rib cage is stacked over the hips, and you shouldn't be clenching. So you shouldn't feel your butt clenching forward because that'll push your hips forward, and you shouldn't feel your quads or the front of your thighs being extremely tight because that'll also pull you forwards. And you shouldn't be slouched and moved forward so that your back is curved in terms of that low back. It should just be stacked neutral. Let's see. So in terms of posture correction, I oftentimes get the question in the office of, oh, when I'm sitting at the desk, maybe I should wear that posture brace or the thing that I can buy on Amazon that pulls my shoulders back. So my advice on that is those are what we call crutches. So in terms of it, the body reacts to stress. So why, when you sit down for half an hour or more, does your body kind of curl in and it seems like you're kind of a ball working on that laptop or on that desktop? Is because we go through a process, it's called hysteresis, where our tissues actually get to learn how gravity works on it. So when gravity stresses your body works towards basically accommodating that motion. What happens then is you turn into this ball because those tissues are all tightening and getting used to the stress that's on the body. So what we need to do in those cases is actually just get up and move. So when you get up after, say, 3 hours sitting there and you stretch and you feel all that cracking and creaking, that's actually not bone. That's actually shown to see that it's in between your muscles. There's a lot of fascial or scarring that's happening in between your muscles, and as it pulls apart and rips, that's what the sound you're hearing. And so in terms of that, what we want to do is create less of that because your body gets used to those positions every half an hour. So you need to get up, get moving every half an hour, change the posture. Go grab some water, go to the bathroom, go stretch out, go do something to get yourself moving so that it decreases that load on your body. So going back to the postural braces, those postural braces help you to hold those positions, but it makes your muscles weak because the postural muscles are supposed to hold on 24 hours a day and create that long-term postural positioning. But now you're using a brace to hold yourself. All those little small postural muscles have completely shut down at that time. And as a result, then you're actually making yourself worse because you have nothing to fight gravity when you don't have that brace. All right, so I'll check to see if there's any questions. If there isn't, then we'll see you next week. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them below, and then we will see you next week. Thanks.